Well, as the weekend has begun, it's going to be a bit more chaotic, but have no fear because today we're going to be reviewing two events. The first one is from GCW's last weekend featuring Feel No Ways in their first show in the Phoenix, Arizona. This one features, of course, the GCW World title on the line. We have Richard Holiday versus Hammerstone and various other matches taking place as well. Then, of course, we have AEW Collision. It features, of course, Mark Briscoe taking on Brody King. Of course, champion and challenger for the AEW Women's World title will be in action in their separate matches. And of course, Orange Cassidy defends the AEW International title against Chaos member Tomohiro Ishii. And then, of course, we cap it up with some news updates to tell what's been going on in the world of pro wrestling, such as what events the promotions are throwing out, who's booked, what matches are set, and also three developments in pro wrestling we need to talk about. The first one's going to feature about Shane Taylor's deal with AEW, Mustafa Ali's first championship win in the independent since his release from WWE, and of course, Tatsuji Fujinami about Okada and his overseas success. So, let's get ready for another episode of the Leaded Wrestle Zone.
Are you ready? Get up, get up! 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 Get up, get up!
Welcome everybody to the Lead It Wrestle Zone, all things that is pro wrestling with AEW, NXT, New Japan Pro Wrestling, TNA, National Wrestling Alliance, various promotions, wrestlers, matches, and championships. I am your host, J Rod here. So if you are new to the channel, welcome. This is a channel where we do a lot of pro wrestling reviews from various promotions, not only here in the United States, but also in Japan, Mexico, Canada, Europe, the UK, anywhere in the world where pro wrestling is not as big, but it continues to grow. We also do discussion videos, talk about various topics such as the wrestlers themselves, promotions, factions, storylines, whatever we want to talk about. We also do more news updates. If I'm unable to put it on this particular episode, I can put it on a separate video by itself. More real timing news updates, what's been happening, and various other cool things as well. So if you like what you see, please subscribe to us. So click on that subscribe button. You'll be getting a lot of daily reviews and other cool stuff on this channel. But if you like this episode, please give us a like on the like button or a nice comment in the description down below. Now, let's begin with our very first review. Now, I was unable to do this earlier this week due to the fact that it was not properly loaded up the way I see it. I don't normally see this on the Thriller TV, which formerly known as Fight TV. This is GCW's Feel No Ways in Phoenix, Arizona, that took place in February 4th. Now, our opening match, we have Masha Slamovich versus Starboy Charlie. Pretty good match. Not gonna lie, I was very impressed. Now, not to mention, you would think, okay, Masha Slamovich is gonna murder Starboy Charlie. I mean, Starboy Charlie has dealt with much dangerous wrestlers. I mean, who could forget about his feud with the South Pacific Savages? I mean, that's dangerous as you can get. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case on this one because he lost the match against Masha when she applied the White Knight driver, and it was over right from there. Next up, we have Fuego del Sol and Sam Stackhouse, who I haven't seen for quite some time, but it's great to see him. They team up to take on guys who've been opponents on the day before, Chris Bay and Man Like DeReese. I thought this match was very interesting. Now, Chris Bay and Man Like DeReese, you would say that they were opponents and now they are tag teaming. I mean, how rare do you see that? Well, it's very rare, but it's very common that sometimes like things like this happen. But how would they stack up? I have to say, they have to figure their footing, how they would, how to say, be cohesion. However, the one thing that was very impressive is man like the Reese was attempting to pick up and body slam Sam Stackhouse. Now, I don't know if he's watching this or not because last time I talked about him, I gave him props for, taking a Canadian destroyer or whatever it was that Fuego del Sol applied to him. I don't remember if it was 2 years ago. And I also like to say I give props to Sam Stackhouse. Somehow, man like the Reese applied a body slam onto him, and of course, people would say, "Holy shit!" every single time when you see something that cool. I mean, yes, it looks cool, and people even made reference to Hulk Hogan Andre Giant thing. I mean, who could forget that? But it was a cool moment. But unfortunately, as much as I say that Sam Stackhouse really, really impressed me, that the fact that people body slammed him, a man like Dries applied a 450 splash and picked up the win. So you can say that we could mostly see, hopefully in the future, more of Chris Bay and man like Dries teaming up. Now, some of you may think, um, Chris Bay is Bullet Club. You think he'll be able to join? I don't know because Dave Finlay's all about killers and all that. I don't know if man like Dries is into that, but we'll see. Now, our next match, we have Bodie Young Prodigy taking on Mance Warner. Now, if you guys know this, as members of as Mance Warner, a former member of the Second Gear crew, they used to come out with the song Walk by Pantera, and this time he uses Cowboys from Hell by Pantera. I'm a huge Pantera fan, in case anybody asks. Rock on. Yes, but however, the obvious thing is this with Mance Warner, it was probably going to murder Bodie Young Prodigy, which he did when he was choking him out with a bull rope, and referee had no other choice but to call this one into a no contest. But Ali Catch tried to confront him, but however things didn't go exactly according to plan. Mance Warner decided to leave, but of course, Manders and Dark Sheik tried to confront him for what he was doing. But however, they jumped into the next match. Ali Catch teamed up with Dark Sheik and one called Manders to deal with deathmatch royalty, those wannabes deathmatch wrestlers, along with Broski Jimmy Lloyd. However, before anything, he questioned Jimmy Lloyd, where the hell was he when he was humiliated by, of course, Nick Meneth. I'm sure if Matt Cardona wants to have another crack at him, he wants Jimmy Lloyd to right the wrong in some capacity. But however, you would have thought this match there would be some dirty tricks involved. Well, it did. But however, Manders accidentally, of course, wipe out the ref, but it was Ali Catch who was the legal person, and you would have thought that this match would end in favor of Ali Catch, Dark Sheik, and one called Manders, but no, Mance Warner out of nowhere attacked Ali Catch, and then boom, decided to have Cardona pin Ali. But once everything got out of hand, apparently Mance Warner again with his attitude. Now Manders tried to reason with them, but apparently, of course, Manders got stabbed from behind by someone he considered a friend, but now he'll be his enemy. As you know, but recently I did mention during a news update in a previous episode that Mance Warner will be in a match against Ali Catch in a bull rope match. So this is going to be a very brutal match. So we'll see what happens until then. Now, our next match, we have Mini Abismo Negro versus Microman. Now, I know about Mini Abismo Negro. I've seen him in AAA for many years. Um, I have to say, him facing Microman was going to be a fun match. Not to mention, if you're not a fan of the Minis, then you guys should get involved. I've always been a fan of the Minis because they're real fun entertainment. Not because they're short, but the way they wrestle is what makes it fun. And Microman is one of those guys that, he's there to have fun. And he does. But he's surprised Mini Abismo Negro with the roll up, and it was over right from there. Now, our next match, we have Kerry Morton versus Cole Radrick. Now, of course, Kerry Morton tried to be cocky as hell with his ways and all this. He would have thought that he was going to win this match. Now, however, he kept getting in the face of the referee, not once, not twice, on various occasions. However, when the match was seems like it was over. Sorry, sorry, my bad, my bad. Anyway, when the match seems like it was going to be over, Kerry Morton was attempting to use the ropes as leverage to pick up the win against Cole Radrick. But however, the referee kicked that out of his hands, and Cole Radrick picked up the win. So that's a significant loss on to Kerry Morton. I'm sure he will probably find a way to make the ref pay for what he did, but he can't do squat because he will be fined. Now, I think our next match, oh yes, our next match, we have a very fantastic trios match, a little bit of the lucha libre style. We have Los Macizos, Ciclope and Medio Extremo teaming up once again with Rina Yamashita, where they take on Los Desperados, Gringo Loco, Latigo, and Aries. Now, you probably would think there's going to be a lot of crazy moments, not to mention some high flyings from Los Desperados, but when it comes to Los Macizos and Rina Yamashita, you bring in the plunder. That's right, you get tables, you get doors, you get ladders, you get chairs. The obvious question is, can the Los Desperados deal with that? Well, unfortunately, no. But it was Rina Yamashita who picked up the win when she pinned Aries, but her hair got caught in the lantern cable and pulled her down. But it picked up a fantastic win. I thought fantastic right there. Now, our next match, we have a local girl from the Phoenix area named Brittany Brooks taking on Jamie Senegal. I have to say, Brittany Brooks is a wrestler I never heard of, but um, people must have spoken highly of her that allowed her to be in this event. She picked up a very impressive win, which she applied like a somewhat of a modified Scorpion Death Drop, but it was not. But it was a pretty good win, not nonetheless. I hope we get to see her more. I'm sure that whoever is her coaches or trainer will probably speak highly of her and hopefully recommended her to maybe participate more often with GCW. But we'll just wait and see, or she'll probably participate with JCW, whatever choices they make. Now, our next match is the GCW World Title. Jack Cartwheel taking on Blake Christian. Now, I'm getting sick and tired of Blake Christian, and sooner or later, somehow, he has to lose the belt. But he's facing against a wrestler we know is awesome, very fantastic, Jack Cartwheel. Now, I'm sure we all probably would have said we want Jack Cartwheel to win, but unfortunately, you would have thought. But in this match, Christian was being methodical, tried to wipe out the knees of Jack Cartwheel, try to use whatever it takes. But in the end, it was a clover leaf that put away Jack Cartwheel, forcing him to tap, allowing for, of course, Blake Christian to pick up the win. But the obvious question now tells who will be the one person to dethrone him. Only time will tell. Now, our main event, Richard Holiday versus Alex Hammerstone. If you guys remember, not too long ago, Richard Holiday betrayed Hammerstone to join, of course, what's his name? Oh, yeah, um, Charles Mason and all this and that. But however, you know, in this match, Mason, who was right there watching, was going to get involved. But of course, he got wiped through a table. But however, of course, Richard Holiday tried to play like show mercy. He actually played Hammerstone. You know, same thing. They try to play them every single time with their tactics. But unfortunately, it ended with, of course, Holiday pick up the win, and that was over. But I don't think it's over between Hammerstone, along with, of course, Mason and Richard. So we will see what happens until then. I'm really sorry that the camera dropped. I was being a butterfingers at the moment. But I think that's pretty much it what we have for GCW. So let's move on with AEW Rampage. Okay, AEW Collision. Started off with the BCC, John Moxley and Claudio Castagnoli taking on guys from CMLL, Star Jr. and what was it calling himself again? Is Fridoyen stands for the Phoenix or the Finks or something like that. But anyway, the match was great. Now you would say that wrestlers from down south of the border of Mexico, they are the most extreme wrestlers you probably would imagine. Now, many people would think of lucha libre, high flying, and all that, but there are wrestlers that are capable of technical aspects. We've seen that on various occasions because that shows they can not only just do the high flying maneuvers that you can say how cool it is, how awesome it is, but also they can do the technical aspect. You would have thought that Star Jr. and his tag partner would put them up to the task. Well, it did, but unfortunately, it was an armbar bar by Moxley to pick up the win, and Star Jr. had no other choice but the tap. But during the post match comments, of course, well, post match, John Moxley made a stir warning to stack up the tag teams, whoever want to come into this. And the team that stepped up is none other than our very favorite and, of course, one of the best tag teams in the world, FTR. And they, of course, responded to the challenge. So this is going to be an interesting thing to see. Now, our next match, we have Daniel Garcia taking on Shane Taylor. Now, as you know, Garcia has been making headways when he put Christian Cage in a moment where should he be concerned the fact that a guy like Daniel Garcia is now after his title. Well, you probably would say. But however, Shane Taylor, he was no stranger. He is the kind of guy you would think, oh, he will try to put hurt on him. But nope. Garcia put the Defler hurt on him when he applied a um, a knee bar to put him away in his submission, forcing Shane Taylor to tap. Now, during a backstage interview with Eddie Kingston in the back, he talked about Bryan Danielson because, as you know, Bryan Danielson has no respect for Eddie, calls him a bum, and of course, he hasn't forgotten that he lost to Eddie Kingston. However, he did say that he wants to face him in Revolution, but he added a little wrinkle into this. He said if he beats him, he wants Bryan Danielson to shake his hand. Now, this is the last thing Bryan Danielson won, so everybody knows if he loses, then that means, of course, he has to shake his hand. Claudio did that, so I'm sure Bryan Danielson probably thinks in the back of his mind, I can't let this happen. But we'll see where that leads. Now, our next match, we have a 2-on-1 match. Brian Cage takes on the Outrunners, Truth Magnum, and Turbo Floyd. You probably would think this match was going to be very, very easy, which it did because uh, uh, um, Brian Cage applied like a somewhat of a Texas clover leaf onto Turbo, and forcing him to tap. And as soon as it was over, the mascot of the Golden Knights, which is the Las Vegas hockey team, wanted to do the Nana dance, and then later he got himself beat up by Brian Cage. Now Brian Cage was attempting to do something more with mascot. Luckily Hook showed up, so the feud between both of these men still continues and rages on. Now, during another backstage interview with Lexi, the Undisputed Kingdom, more specifically Roderick, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett, confronted Tomohiro Ishii. Now, of course, Roderick Strong would love nothing more to see anybody that tried to dethrone the belt, dethrone Orange Cassidy for the belt. But apparently, there's some history between, of course, Ishii and everybody else in the Undisputed Kingdom. But, however, I highly doubt Ishii gives a damn what they think because he doesn't give a damn. He's always there for a fight, no matter what. So we'll see where that leads us from there on. Now, Tony Schiavone conducted another interview in the, of course, in the ring with Adam Copeland. Now, Adam Copeland said that he should have been there for Singh, but he gave the Young Bucks stern warning for what they done. And then, of course, as we know, the Cope Open Challenge is now currently 4-0. And of course, they talk about other titles if he's ever pursuing. Like he knows that you got a three-way match at Revolution, um, other titles that he probably would think about. But there's one that, as you know, that feels like it's eluding him was the TNT title. However, there is one person who's considering proceeding for that belt, and that is Daniel Garcia. Now, Adam Copeland respects him, the fact that he wants this belt. So he decided, how about let's do this? Next week, you and me will see who will be the ones to challenge Christian. So that is something which, of course, we could see somewhere down the line. So I'm sure Christian will not like it, but sooner or later it can happen. Now, during another interview with Lexi Neer, this time she interviews Stokely Hathaway, Chris Statlander, and Willow Nightingale. Now, as you know, this past Wednesday they picked up a huge victory against the Outcast. However, the one thing that was mostly important was after the match, we did see the arrival of Sky Blue and Julie Hart. Now, some things don't add up. Now, we know that Julie Hart defeated Chris Statlander for the TBS title. What more do they want this time? And I'm sure Stokely Hathaway knows it pretty well. Basically, you got what you wanted, but yet you still want to come after them. So Stokely Hathaway decided to try to deal with how to book these girls that have matches either in singles competition or tag team. So we'll see where that leads us from here on out. Now, our next match, we have Brody King taking on Mark Briscoe. Now, as you guys remember, a couple of weeks ago, Mark Briscoe was on the verge to help FTR to deal with, of course, the House of Black. So this is where Mark Briscoe has to deal with the big monster himself, Brody King. But of course, at some point, Julia was going to get involved, and then Brody King applied the Bonzo bomb, and it was over. However, during the post match, Julia Hart used some sort of weapon onto Mark Briscoe to pick up to make him bleed. However, I know if I know Briscoe, he's not going to let this one go no matter what he does. Now, as you know, we just had a recent new signee, the bounty hunter Brian Keith. The bounty hunter put everybody in the locker room on notice on a video package. So I can't wait to see who will be the next person he has to collect the bounty. Now, our next match, we have Deonna Purrazzo versus Kiera Hogan. Now, those who don't know, these two know each other pretty well. They even confronted each other back in Impact Wrestling when it was, at the time, still Impact Wrestling. But I'm sure this is where, of course, Deonna Purrazzo is trying to prove a point that she is a far more better technical wrestler than everybody else. However, than Toni Storm. However, as soon as the match was over, when she applied the Venus de Milo on on Kiera Hogan, here comes Toni Storm to take on Queen Aminata. Now, Queen Aminata, I have to say, I just recently saw her exclusive interview. Very impressive one. If you guys haven't seen it, go to the AEW YouTube channel and you get to see it. Or I'll try to put the link on that one on the description down below. I have to say, Queen Aminata really put her through the limit. However, it was the Storm Zero to pick up the win. Now she calls this a very technical style of wrestling. Well, we'll see what happens because she is confident enough to believe she's going to beat her once and for all. Now, our next match is our main event, the AEW International title. Defended Orange Cassidy defends the belt against the Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii. Now, you probably would think, what is Orange Cassidy thinking? I mean, Orange Cassidy, yes, he is who he is. He is not your average guy you want to mess with. He knows what he's doing. You can call him lazy, but however, he is determined to prove that he is a fighting champion no matter what. Of course, Roderick Strong thinks that he's not, but he's faced the toughest and the most dangerous wrestlers out there. You would think that Tomohiro Ishii would have used all of his power to try to stop Orange, but it was an inside cradle that sealed the deal for him to pick up the win. But however, at the post match, we knew that this was going to happen sooner or later. Undisputed Kingdom showed up and tried to dismantle Orange Cassidy, which of course Roderick Strong is desired to get the AEW International title. but luckily Ishii and Beretta showed up. Now this feud is far from over between Orange Cassidy and Roderick Strong. We'll see what happens from here on out. So I think that's pretty much it what we have for all reviews. I believe it's time to move on with news updates. Okay, so welcome to our news updates. First things first, I failed to mention this earlier in the start of this video. I want to give congratulations to Sonya Deville on her marriage to um, her new wife. I think her name is Tony Kazano. That's right. Sonya Deville, as you know, she's been in a relationship for who knows how long. People Magazine has announced their marriage. Yes, both of them were wearing their wedding dresses, real beautiful, real nice. You probably would be showing some tears, but nonetheless, I'm very happy for her that she found the love of her life, and she gets to live a happily ever after time. So hopefully, we get to see her again in the ring. Just don't know when. But congratulations, Sonya Deville. Now let's move on with, of course, updates with the promotions on their upcoming shows. JCW has announced the return of March Madness that will take place in March 10th at the Showboat in Atlantic City. So, any of my subscribers from the Jersey area, you may want to get your tickets now. But if those who are planning to go see it, I'm going to presume either you see it on the GCW YouTube channel, or you can order it at the Thriller TV. Now, as you know, the collaboration with West Coast Pro and United Wrestling Network continues to add more matches for the Delirious show taking place on the 12th of March. They announced that Sandra Moon will take on Zara Sakir. Um, that's going to be a very interesting match to watch. Marvelous Coast, which is the collaboration between Yoshi Promotion Marvelous and West Coast Pro for their on March 24th, has announced two different things will be happening. They announced that Kevin Blackwood will be making his return, and of course, we will have Magenta, the current AEW World Tag Team Champions, Maria and Rico Kawahara. I'm glad they're going to be in there. So, if you guys are from the Bay Area, make sure you get your tickets now. Now, we have, of course, for the Philly events coming up, these last three updates on that. The GCW and JCW versus The World that will take place in Philly on the 4th of April. They announced the astronauts, consisting of Fuminori Aide and Takuya Nomura, will be participating. So that's going to be good. Now, the collaboration between Wrestling Revolver and House of Glory will take place on the 5th. Steve Macklin will be in action to take on the root of all evil, Charles Mason. I just hope Steve Macklin murders Charles Mason. But luckily for him, he'll have Killer Kelly by his side. So that's going to be a fun match. And finally, as you know, Tokyo Show Pro Wrestling will be in Philly for the Collective. They announced for their live show on the 5th of April, Billy Starks will be participating on that show. So I'm very excited to see what she's going to do. Now, for some developments going on, as you may have heard, Fightful Select reports that Shane Taylor signed a new deal, signed a deal with AEW in 2023. But his current status with them that will go through all the way to July of this year of 2024. So no mentions what's going to happen afterwards, but we'll just see. But there's been talks about, you know, growing Shane Taylor Promotions and adding new members. So we could see that somewhere down the line. Now, promotion you may or may not have heard called Dreamweaver Wrestling. They announced that, of course, Mustafa Ali is the brand new Dreamwave Alternative Champion. So this is Mustafa Ali's first championship win since going to the Independence, since his release with WWE. So I'm very happy for him. I'm sure many of you are. I don't know if you can see the show, but I'll see what I can do. If there's a YouTube link to that, I'll try to add it. But if not, I apologize. Now, finally, Tatsuji Fujinami talked in Tokyo Sports about Okada, as you know, about his upcoming success. So he said he approved it, but he also said this: "I want him to become the Otani of professional wrestling world." So basically, he wants him to be something that he's destined to be. I'm sure we all want to see that, but we'll see where that leads us from here on out. And I think that's pretty much it with everything else. So let's just call it a day. Well, I hope everybody enjoys this episode coming up. Um, we may have, of course, the Jersey J Cup by JCW, which I probably will be doing that. If there's that, then we'll see what lows. But also, we do have the New Japan New Beginning in Osaka. As you know, this will be the last match. Last time we will see Osprey. Until then, there's that feud between the Bullet Club War Dogs and the United Empire, who are determined to bury and end the legacy of Will Ospreay. So we'll see where that leads us. So I'll probably have that as a priority. If anything else, we'll just see what happens until then. But for now, this is it that we have. Um, I'll see you guys on the next DWZ time, same DWZ channel. I must bid all of you adieu. So, goodbye, mwah, and have a nice day. Bang.